What's up, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Back to 12 podcast. And listen, we've got a lot to discuss today. We've got a kicker battle heating up, that according to not only Coach McGuire, but the special teams coach and Kenny Perry. Plus, we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about the four most improved position groups headed into 2024 for your Texas Tech Red Raiders. Listen, we're only about 2 weeks away, 2.5. I'm fudging the numbers there a little bit on that, but about 2.5 weeks away from kickoff at Jones AT&T Stadium. I'm excited. I know you are too. Like the video if you're excited. While you're down there, let me know your opinion. This is an interactive channel. We're trying to really build a big-time community of Texas Tech fans here, and I want to hear from you guys because this is the part I love most. Let me know what Texas Tech position group you think will be the most improved in 2024. Are you going to go with maybe the offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, secondary, wide receivers, tight end? We'll talk about four of them in today's video, but I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down on the pinned comment below. All right. Let's jump into the kicker battle news first, because I didn't know if we would get here, but we are here. Like, this is not just, one of those things that's buzzworthy or anything. No, this is a legit battle right here, and arguably the biggest battle for Texas Tech outside of what's going on at left tackle between Sterling Porsche and Dalton Merriman. But we'll stick to the kicker battle right now as, maybe this is a tangent, and I apologize if it is. The kicker is really one of the more underappreciated positions in football, because if they're good, you pay them no mind, but if they're bad, you call for their head, right? A good kicker can literally win you a game, if not two, in the season, and that can be the difference between you going bowling or potentially having the chance to do a lot more, like play for that game in Arlington. But anyway, let's get to what special teams coordinator coach said in terms of Kenny Perry, also the running back coach for the Red Raiders. According to Coach Perry, quote, he says, one day Gino, Garcia that is great. Then the next day Reese, Burkhuldt is. I just wish one would take the job, but we will be fine. Now, Garcia was the perceived starter for the Red Raiders when really the bowl game was over. Now, there was whispers. I don't think we should call it buzz. I think it's more apropos to call it whispers in terms of what we were hearing in spring camp about potentially a kicker battle. That is not the case anymore. This is where there's smoke, there's a raging fire type battle. I really don't know who's going to win this. I truly believe it is a coin flip, and this could have really the potential to go to ACU week and who is going to win the starting kicker job. Now, again, I know what you're thinking. RC, it's the kicker spot. Who really cares? I mean, again, this could be the difference between you winning a game and losing a game this year. And I know this isn't the utmost importance when it comes to the position battles because of the left tackle spot. And we'll talk about that later on in the week when more information becomes available. But this is interesting now because it's not just one of those things where people are talking about it. There's action behind it, right? Because now you've heard Coach McGuire discuss it as well as Coach Perry. So this is going to be one of those active battles that I think goes through all of fall camp. And then you're going to see, well, who's the starting guy on the first field goal attempt leading into that ACU week? Maybe they announce it. I think it could just be one of those situations where you see who's the first one to take a field goal attempt between Gino and Reese. And it's definitely worth monitoring. Now, one thing that I need you to do, because this may be my favorite apparel company out there, go check out Home Field Apparel. Right now, look at this stuff. You're telling me right now you don't love that Texas Tech long sleeve tee right there? I've already got mine on the way. You should get yours too. And the best part about it, you can save 15% off right now when you use the code BACK212, all caps, over on homefieldapparel.com. Get your new favorite Texas Tech hoodie, shirt, pair of socks, long sleeve, short sleeve, who cares? Go over there and check them out. I promise you will be as infatuated with their apparel selection for your Red Raiders as I am. I'm telling you right now, I've got all of these on the way. I will be rocking them here on the channel. Y'all know me. If you know and watch this channel consistently, I really don't wear Texas Tech apparel. I'll be rocking that. And you should be too, whether you're at the Jones, whether you're watching with your buddies or watching just at home by yourself in your living room this fall. Rock Home Field Apparel and save 15% off using the code BACK212. All right, let's get into really some of these most improved position groups. And I do have them in order, actually. I'm going to start from 4 and go to 1. And now I know some of y'all are not going to agree with me on this, but listen to my reasoning. Just that's all I ask. And if you disagree after that, by all means, this is what this channel is about. We want to be interactive here and a safe place to have your opinion heard, and people come back and forth and really get to be smarter and more highly educated when it comes to the Red Raiders. I'm going to start at DT because Joey McGuire has mentioned multiple times this offseason, they feel like they have 6-7 guys in the rotation. And now, here's the thing. When I say most improved, that doesn't mean they went and got somebody in the portal. That doesn't mean necessarily they went out and addressed this in the high school ranks. And we'll talk about that position group here in a little bit if you catch my drift. But DT, they did add 2 guys in the portal, into Braylon Carroll and James Hansen. But they kept a lot of these young guys from prior Coach McGuire recruiting classes. Now, that's not the case with Quincy Ledet Jr. He's going to be that anchor right there in the middle. But you've got guys like Jaden Cofield, who's been a major standout, not only in spring ball, but fall camp. I could argue with you right now in terms of standouts. Jaden Cofield has been the biggest standout either side of the ball for the Red Raiders. You've also got Duda Banks, Trayvon McAlpine. You've got 6 or 7 guys there in a room last year where you really only felt comfortable with 3 dudes playing. And 2 of those guys are gone. Also, shout out to Jalen Hutchings, JH, Boog, up in Chicago, getting signed by the Chicago Bears. Yeah, give me a JH down in the comments if you're excited about Jalen Hutchings signing with the Chicago Bears. But you're a lot deeper here. Now, you're vastly more unproven, but I do think you're going to start seeing those waves of the McGuire classes that were so highly touted, and defensive line was one of those places, make a big impact for the Red Raiders starting in 2024. All right, next one, we're going to shift to the other 3 being offense, and this is the one you're probably going to disagree with me on, or you're going to say, I believe it when I see it, RC. It's the offensive line. And hear me out here. Hear me out. First and foremost, they landed arguably the best guard in the transfer portal in Vinny Scurry. Stud, he's going to play on Sundays. That's what's going to happen. They also landed a guy in Davon Carter who's going to be your swing guy on the interior, right? If you have somebody go down, whether it's at right guard, center, whatever it may be, he's going to be your backup there. That is a valuable guy to have considering his experience that he had out at Memphis. You also got Sterling Porsche, who I mentioned previously, as he's in a battle for the left tackle spot with Dalton Merriman, right? Regardless of who wins that, you still have a guy that is battling out probably until the last day of camp, more than likely, for that left tackle spot. So you feel like you got 1 or 2 guys there where you're like, okay, I would feel comfortable with them playing. I haven't even mentioned the likes of Ty Buchanan coming back, Caleb Rogers coming back. And the reason I think this is going to be one of the more improved, position groups is, first and foremost, it can't get any worse. Knock on wood, whatever you believe in terms of, anything like that, just knock on wood, whatever, right? It can't get any worse. Knock on wood one more time. No pause. I think the other thing is this. You're starting to hear the young guys become more involved in the 2 deep, whether that's Dylan Shaw, whether that's, Wilson. Sheridan Wilson is likely going to be your starting center. Then you've got Dalton Merriman, albeit not a young guy, a guy that has developed and is getting better. And it's no coincidence with Coach McGuire, no, not Joey, Clay as the offensive lineman, offensive line coach, when you improve that spot, offensive line is one of the most pivotal and hardest positions to coach because it takes the longest for them to develop, right? When you get a guy in here like Clay McGuire and you see the impact he's having in terms of getting these guys to be in position battles, albeit in fall camp, but being on the 2 deep as well, there's something to be said for that. And I do think the offensive line will be improved. Do I think they're going to be the best in the Big 12? No. But I do think they'll be a lot closer to average, maybe slightly above it than they were last year, where last year it was just an unmitigated disaster at times. All right. We're going to go to the skill spots on the offense now. We're going to start at tight end, where you, in my estimations, and Joey McGuire's too, don't listen to me, listen to Joey McGuire, landed 2 NFL-type tight ends in the portal. Obviously, the big one is Jalen Conyers. The other one led, his division of football in yards after the catch in John Carlos Miller. You also bring back Mason Tharp. That is your trio of tight ends, and that is arguably your best position in terms of just bona fide pros if they stay healthy, right? I could see all three of these guys playing on Sundays. They're that kind of good. Jalen Conyers is a legit all Big 12 type tight end. I think John Carlos Miller adds an aspect to this team that you just haven't seen in a long time, interior-wise, for a skill position player. He can take the top off at the tight end spot, and you know what Mason Tharp can do when he's healthy. The key there is his health. I think they did a fantastic job of addressing this in the portal. And yes, people, for the 17,000th time this offseason, they will use tight end more this year. I can promise you that. And don't be surprised if you get a little bit of sprinkle action. Get the salt guy in there of Jalen Conyers as a Wildcat quarterback. I think that there's a clear-cut most improved position for the Red Raiders in 2024, and I'm pretty sure everybody would agree with me on this. It's wide receiver. Because of how bad the offensive line was last year, the wide receiver position was thankful that they were there, because a lot more eyes would have been on the wide receiver group. Because you think about it, they could not separate. They could not take the top off of the defense, and I get it. The offensive line had to hold up a little bit, but they struggled catching the ball. How many times did it feel like there was a tip drill going on with the wide receivers? I don't expect that to be the case anymore. You have 4 guys, really about 7, that I feel really good about at the wide receiver spot, but most notably the guys you added. Yes, obviously Josh Kelly is going to be one of the big-time guys there, but the biggest name of all is 5-star wide receiver Micah Hudson, alongside another big-time transfer in Caleb Payday Douglas. Those are the 3 marquee names you added at the wide receiver position, and it would not shock me at all if those are the 3 guys starting at wide receiver for Texas Tech. Not to mention you bring back Coy Aiken, who him and Baron Morton clearly have a rapport, and I don't think you use Dre McCray the way you should have last year, and I'm not even blaming Zach Kitley for that. I'm going to say that that's because the offensive line and the things you wanted to do from a health perspective at the quarterback spot just weren't available. I think Dre McCray is going to be used a lot more. I feel like you have 5, 6, maybe even 7 wide receivers in that wide receiver room that are going to bring different skill sets and allow Zach Kitley to show off that creativity that he is shown to have. Now, there's a lot of things that need to happen here in terms of the offensive line has to be better, but the most important one is Baron Morton has to be healthy. He's at 100% right now, and we have not seen a wide receiver room this good on paper. I get it. It's on paper. You got to show me on the field in a very long time at Texas Tech. 5-star, 2 guys in Josh Kelly and Caleb Payday Douglas that were high major transfers in. You keep a guy in Coy Aiken who was really good when Baron Morton hyper-targeted him. And then you got a guy in Dre McCray who's going to be impactful not only on special teams, but I think so as well in that wide receiver group, taking the top off the defense. All right, one more time. What Texas Tech position group do you think will be most improved in 2024? Let me know down on the pinned comment below. And before we head out of here, one more time, head on over to homefieldapparel.com to save, 15% off. Nobody's beating that deal. With the code BACK212 on your new favorite Texas Tech shirt, hoodie, socks, whatever it may be, get ready to celebrate Texas Tech football. We only got 2.5 weeks here, people. You got to get on this, and you can save 15% with the code BACK212 over on, my favorite site for Texas Tech football apparel. Of course, I'm talking about homefieldapparel.com.